When Yohei got home that morning after his visit to the farmer, he told his wife what had happened. She was absolutely encouraging towards him and said, Yohei, we'll do what we wanted to do before. Go back out to the fields. Go to work like you've always done. You work so hard. When you bring home your wages, we'll save something and we'll make up that difference so that you can go back to that farmer and buy the piece of land. Yohei looked at her and said, no, you know that's impossible. I can't save that money from the pitiful wages I earn from working on the farms. Life is hard around here. That's why selling the cloth was so good for me. Why did I spend that money in the tavern? Why did I lend those people money? Those few coins could have made all the difference. Oh, hey. You don't have to buy that piece of land. You could buy a smaller piece of land from another farmer. I don't want to buy anything smaller than that. That's already a small piece of land. It's nothing to boast about, but at least it's a start. At least I've got something to work on, something I can call my own. He left the house that day, went out to work as he normally did. On the way home in the evening, the neighbour, who had come up to him once and told him to try and persuade his wife to weave another roll of cloth, came up to him again and said, Yohei, look, I've always respected you. I'm not like the others who made fun of you and then been nice to you when you've had some money in your pocket. I've always had some respect for you because I know you're a hard-working person and I know you're clever. Sadly, he was being very two-faced, but Yohei, being Yohei, was very gullible and believed him and said to him, let's go to the tavern. Let's sit down, have some food, have a few drinks, and tell me what you're thinking. And when they went to the tavern and had eaten and drunk, the neighbour said to him, look, Yohei, give it a little time. Just keep going out and working for the other farmers. And then, very gently, try to persuade your wife to weave another roll of cloth. And this time, while she's weaving the cloth, slide the doors open. Have a look. See for yourself what her secret is. Once you know the secret, your wife doesn't have to weave another roll of cloth again. We can show all the women in the village how to weave cloth the same way as your wife, and we can set up a business and we can sell rolls and rolls and rolls of cloth in the big city to the big rich merchants. All we have to do is sit in an office all day, put our feet up, and just watch the money rolling in. We'll be so rich, Yohei. Think about it. Think about how easy it's going to be for us. All the women of the village weaving cloth, and all we have to do is transport it to the city directly. Forget about setting up a store and selling it to all the merchants we know who have the money to pay for it. Think about it, Yohei. When Yohei went home that evening and went to bed, he stayed awake, thinking about the neighbor's plan. He couldn't believe it. He'd never thought of it himself. He'd only thought of one roll of cloth, one piece of land, working on that piece of land for the rest of his life, and maybe adding more pieces of land to that. But he'd never thought of such wealth before. He never thought of being able to sit back and watch the money come in and run his own company with his name outside his office. He never thought of that. But then he thought about the promise that he'd made to his wife. She said it was a secret gift. She said it was a special gift, that she wasn't supposed to share it in the first place. And she'd already woven 2 rolls of cloth. Asking her to weave another roll of cloth was really beyond the pale. Yohei felt he shouldn't do it. It was his wife. She trusted him. If he asked her to weave another roll of cloth, he'd be breaking his promise. How could she ever trust him again? He tossed and turned in the bed. He couldn't sleep that night. The next morning at breakfast, when his wife asked him, "Hey, you look very tired. Why? I heard you tossing and turning last night. Why didn't you sleep? What was on your mind?" "You were worrying about the money. I know. You've got to stop. Look, when you go out to work today, there isn't one farmer who'll refuse you work. They all respect you for that. Remember what I said. We'll keep back some of your wages, save them, and make sure we can add to the money you've got already so that you can buy that piece of land." But every night when he went to bed, he just thought about this fortune, this dream that could come true. And he kept meeting up with the neighbor who kept feeding his fantasy. And when he met up with a neighbor, there were other neighbors involved who attached themselves to him. And he started spending money again. And before he knew it, all the money that he'd saved or had left over from the last deal had frittered away. He was back to where he started. And he started complaining again. His wife had heard it all before. "I hate this village. I hate living in this village. The people keep criticizing, making fun of me, pointing at me, giggling. I'll have to think of some way out of this mess. There must be a way out." And his wife looked at him sadly. She felt it was going to be very, very difficult if Yohei continued like this, being angry, being sad, not ever being satisfied.